No, that's not a tongue-in-cheek title. It's a fact. And by the end of this video, I'll hope you'll understand why. What do these two people, or should I call them persons, have in common? What do they have in common? Neither of them exist. Well, that's not strictly true because Jade chose to exist while Dean chose not to.
I will not be pushed, filed, stamped, indexed, briefed, debriefed, or numbered. My life is my own.
For official purposes, everyone has a number. Yours is number 6.
I am not a number. I am a person.
6 of one, half a dozen of another.
The prisoner wishes to say a word.
In your heads must still be the remnant of a brain. In your hearts must still be the desire to be a human being again.
They are free men of the free land, and they live right here in Manitoba, but they don't follow the same rules as you and I. CTV News is told they have become a concern for police and are tying up the courts. CTV's Caroline Bargut joins us now live. So why are they concerned, Caroline?
Well, Gordon, Freemen don't believe Canadian acts and statutes like the Highway Traffic Act are in fact law, so they don't follow them because they say that is their right. They also don't recognize police authority, and that's led to some confrontation.
Hello, Matt.
Hello, officer. How are you?
Good.
They call themselves free men of the land, Canadians who don't pay taxes and drive without a license.
This is from the government's own website.
Dean Clifford says the Canadian Security Intelligence Service, or CSIS, even considers free men like him domestic terrorists. Do you agree that you're a terrorist or not a terrorist? How do you feel about the label?
If I cause them to feel a little bit of terror, then I'm okay with that because they've been terrorizing me for 15 years.
According to Clifford, he obeys the laws of the land, but not the rules made up by government. Because of that, he's no stranger to police. Over the years, he's been charged with driving without a license, has been jailed for resisting arrest, and has had several vehicles seized. He now wants police to pay for their actions.
When the RCMP pull you over and they seize a truck, but they don't issue a notice of seizure, they just take it. That's theft. So I charged 2 of them out in British Columbia with theft, and the courts didn't want to hear it.
Clifford says he began issuing liens to officers who pulled him over or infringed on his rights. Each has a $50,000 fine attached. So far in Manitoba, he's already handed out 17. None have yet gone to court. In a statement to CTV, the RCMP says individuals associated to this movement are a concern because some followers advocate violence to promote their views. This may involve violence towards police officers, and that there are officer safety concerns when dealing with followers of this movement during routine police interaction. Clifford says it's police who cause free men harm, not the other way around.
Unfortunately for them, I don't care about their bottom line or their profit margin. My freedoms and my liberties are far more important than that.
He plans to continue fighting for those freedoms in court. Justice Minister Andrew Swan wasn't available to talk on camera today, but he did issue this statement. The justice system treats all Manitobans in the same way with due regard for their constitutional and statutory rights. No one is above the law, and if you break the law, you'll face the applicable consequences. The courts have appropriate tools to deal with individuals who are alleged to be misusing the court process. When I asked if the freemen were right in their beliefs, the province said no, they are not.
Thanks, Caroline. CTV's Caroline Bargut reporting. 16 years. Dean Clifford says, as a free man, that is his right. He drives a truck without a license, owns a home with no credit, and tonight he gave CTV's Caroline Bargut a peek into how he lives. I planted the date seed, so I got a date tree growing now.
This is how Dean Clifford lives. The self-described naturalist's home is full of plants and light.
When I wake up in the morning, I like to come down here and it's bright. And the sun's already in. My plants are growing. I got coffee plants over here, coffee bean plants, and I'm even trying to grow a pineapple from a pineapple head right there. Yep. We have running water, too.
But Clifford isn't anything like his neighbors.
So you don't have any government ID?
No, not at all.
The 37-year-old considers himself a free man of the land.
Prepaid visa.
Inside his wallet, there is no driver's license or Manitoba health card. This Canadian hasn't filed income taxes in nearly 17 years.
How do you not pay Revenue Canada for 17 years and stand here out of jail?
Very easy. Nobody is obligated to file or pay income taxes. Nobody.
Now you know the origin of man-made laws.
Clifford's views are shared by tens of thousands of other free men, not just in Canada, but around the globe.
What is a free man?
Not only does Clifford own this home in rural Manitoba, he has a farm, 7 rental properties in Winnipeg, a construction company, and 2 vehicles. And he has it all without any government ID. No mortgage, no bank loan, and no credit.
I don't need them. We have equity lenders in Canada for 25% down. They'll loan you money based on the equity of the home. And you can pay them off with no penalties.
I'm going to take this opportunity while I was committing a crime in progress here.
The FBI and CSIS call free men of the land like Clifford domestic terrorists.
There's a warrant out for it.
The RCMP consider them a safety concern for police. It's now developing awareness material to better protect frontline officers.
I just want to be left alone. They're the ones initiating the contact. They're fully armed. And then they're calling me a safety concern.
Clifford maintains he's just trying to live his life and would like to be left alone. He believes if more people learned about their rights, they would be doing the same. Caroline Bargout, CTV News, Winnipeg.
And we wanted to know how Clifford is able to avoid paying income taxes for 17 years, but our calls were not answered or not returned from Revenue Canada. Well, a man is charged with...
The state cannot afford to enter a debate on this. So who's Jade Jacob Brooks? What does or did she, a Brit, have in common with Dean Clifford, a Canadian? Well, it's simple. Clifford is saying, I do not wish to exist within statutory law. Jade actually didn't exist within statutory law, but she made the mistake of choosing to. An Essex woman told for years that she did not legally exist has finally received proof of her birth. A bureaucratic mix-up meant that Jade Jacob Brooks, 20, did not receive a birth certificate after she was born during a family holiday in Spain. Over the years, she's been refused jobs and been unable to get a passport. After she was presented with the document live on BBC television, Miss Jacobs Brooks said she intended to travel abroad and get a real tan. Her problems started after UK officials refused to accept documents issued by the hospital in Alicante where she was born. She said, my mum and dad thought they had the right papers to register me in the UK, but they were told they had the wrong paperwork. It was the start of a 20-year saga for her family as they battled red tape and British and Spanish officials in a struggle to prove she legally existed. She legally existed. They wrote to our local MP, to the then PM Tony Blair, and even to the Queen. At one stage, Miss Jacobs Brooks' father, Victor, returned to Alicante to confront Spanish officials in person, but to no avail, as they told him the hospital had no record of his daughter's birth. Miss Jacobs Brooks from Harlow said, we were told it wasn't my right to have a birth certificate and no one would help me. No certificate meant she was unable to apply for a passport or a driving licence. She has never been abroad and has even had to stay at home while her family went on holiday. She has been refused entry to clubs and lost jobs because she cannot provide employers with proof of her identity. She cannot even pick up parcels from her local post office. In the end, it took a 3-year battle by international law firm Allen and Overy to obtain a Spanish birth certificate for Miss Jacobs Brooks, which means that she can register herself for a UK passport and other documents. Lawyer Andrew Denny told BBC Breakfast, Neither the Spanish or British governments wanted to take ownership of Jade's problem. We saw it as a human rights issue. Jade couldn't work, vote, or travel. A human rights issue, huh? Well, she was human. She just wasn't a legal person, Mr. Denny. As you well know, it's not human rights, it's legal persons' rights. But now Jade is recognised as existing. She is now a person in law. She has no human rights because such do not exist. She has legal persons' rights. Same thing? No, not at all. Oh, and she now has a national insurance number.
I am not a number. I am a person.
Indeed you are, Patrick. And the very fact that you're a person means that you get a national insurance number. Because if you weren't a person, the government couldn't give you a national insurance number.
6 of one, half a dozen of another.
Jade's now a fully paid up member of the herd and can play the game of Monopoly with her piece, the birth certificate. British Nationality Bill, 21st of June 1948. Lord Altrincham moved to leave out subsection 1 and to insert, "Every person who under this Act is a British subject of the United Kingdom and colonies, or who under any enactment for the time being in force in any country mentioned in subsection 3 of this section is a British subject or citizen of that country, shall thereby have the status of a British subject." The noble lord said, "Since this is a complicated and very far-reaching bill, it may be desirable that I should begin by explaining the purpose and effect of my amendment." Apart from that, however, it is obviously a term that is quite applicable for the purposes for which it has been used by Canada and may be used by other dominions. Canada, Australia, and New Zealand are, after all, single geographical entities under one system of government, under which every member of the community has equal rights and responsibilities. Citizenship, after all, ought to mean, and in its proper sense does mean, equal rights and responsibilities. Do noble lords opposite really suppose that if that term is used in regard to the colonial empire, it will not be exploited against us by every malcontent, by every political agitator? It is a poor answer to say that, after all, the term is merely a legal fiction. That would be the truth, but, as I say, it would be a poor answer. Repeat. It is a poor answer to say that, after all, the term is merely a legal fiction. That would be the truth.
So you don't have any government ID?
No, not at all.
The 37-year-old considers himself a free man of the land. Inside his wallet, there is no driver's license or Manitoba health card. This Canadian hasn't filed income taxes in nearly 17 years.
And we wanted to know how Clifford is able to avoid paying income taxes for 17 years, but our calls were not answered or not returned from Revenue Canada.
How do you not pay Revenue Canada for 17 years and stand here out of jail?
Very easy. Nobody is obligated to file or pay income taxes. Nobody.
Unless, Dean, somebody has registered themselves as Jade Jacob Brooks did. As such, they are liable to statutory law due to their statutory existence, which, by the way, has them contracted in to bail out a corporate banking system, which has their children born and registered into bondage. Debt slaves. After all, perhaps you like being screwed by your government in league with their banking owners. Oh, and one final thing. Think logically before you go saying, "Why should he get away with not paying tax and not having a driver's license?" Who's he? He doesn't exist, remember? But for some, that penny just will never drop. And the far more abundant white sheep will always feel it necessary to keep the black sheep in line as slaves, like themselves.